Middle Ages, some conclaves took up to 2 years. Well, that's not possible in a modern media environment with the world's eyes looking on Rome. So they'll want to have as much of a sense of the likely front runners and who is a viable candidate and not as quickly as they can. And these 2 weeks will be very useful for those discussions, not least because, as people sometimes mention, 80% of the cardinals who will have votes in the conclave have been chosen by Pope Francis, which means they'll have had no experience of previous conclaves. So these 2 weeks are very important for them to be able to meet with the older cardinals, those over the age of 80 who don't get a vote, but who have experience and who can tell them how it works and can guide them through it.
Are there any candidates who are standing out right now? Are there any characteristics or backgrounds that the church is looking for?
Well, the two candidates who are most often talked about are Pietro Parolin, the Cardinal Secretary of State, who was effectively Pope Francis's #2 in the Vatican, and he would be in a way the continuity candidate, a safe pair of hands who knows how everything works. The other one is Cardinal Luis Tagle, the Archbishop of Manila in the Philippines, who is sometimes spoken of as the Asian Francis. He's the man with all the charisma. Who would represent a continuation of the kind of pastoral ministry which Francis championed. But the problem with him is that he may in fact just be a little bit too young to be elected Pope this time. He's only 67, and one of the things the cardinals may be concerned about is that, well, we don't necessarily want a papacy which is too long, partly because the right man to be Pope now might not still be the right man in 10 or 15 or 20 years. So there are lots and lots of factors that go into how they decide how to vote. And in the end, it's a complex phenomenon. We'll only see the final outcome.
Yeah, so we are starting this 9 days of mourning, but a lot of these rituals that are set to happen over the next few days, the public viewing is set to start on Wednesday, but there are some changes that Pope Francis has asked for when it comes to his funeral services, one being the major one. He is not going to be, being laid to rest in the traditional place that previous popes have been. Gloria, I'm going to send this one to you. He is asked to be buried at St. Mary Major Basilica, his favorite icon there, Virgin Mary. Talk to me about that significance.
Yes, St. Mary Major Church played a very important role in Pope Francis's life because of his devotion to the Blessed Virgin Mary, who he understood very clearly is also our mother as well. And so he would actually make a trip to visit the beautiful icon of Our Lady there, and before and after every one of his trips that he would make and as Pope, and he would bring a bouquet of flowers to her, entrusting the safety of his entire trip to the hands of Our Lady, which was really an expression of his Marian devotion in general. And we know he especially loved Our Lady of Perpetual Help, which was the name of the church where he had been baptized. So that was certainly makes complete sense that he would then be buried at that very same church.
It's incredible, and we are actually just getting word the cause of death for Pope Francis: cerebral stroke and heart failure. We know that he was in the hospital for 38 days, double pneumonia, bronchitis. When he came out, a lot of his parishioners, the people that were enjoying his Easter Mass, were saying they saw this sense of energy from him, almost like a relief that maybe he's improving. But then, yesterday we saw his last blessing for Easter Sunday, and it's incredible that this is the fate that, happens today.
We even heard from Vice President J.D. Vance speaking about how healthy he looked, how much of a presence he had, and I think everybody that encountered him felt that presence from him. Father Carnes, I mean, it is incredible, as Sharon said, that Easter Monday, after he was out in the public eye for the last several days, doing his blessings, people got to hear from him, and that means a lot.
Yes, no, I think, from the very beginning of his papacy, he always wanted to go out. If you watched him in the Pope Mobile, he frequently got down from the Pope Mobile because he wanted to be with people. He had this sense of engaging and wanting a church that would not be stuck inside a building, but that would be engaging people wherever they were. And you could see a joy in him, the way he lit up to be with people, and especially people in challenging moments. He'd often find the sick person in the crowd and go over and smile and hug them or care for them. And I think that's something that he brought to these final days too, was a sense of both his own dependence on God and his sense of how beautiful and how fragile our life is, but also a joy in living it right up until the end. And it strikes me one of his final legacies will be this year. The year 2025 is what's called a Jubilee year, a special year of celebration. And he named it the Jubilee Year of Hope because he wanted us in the world, especially a world that can seem divided, that can seem disappointed, to live with a kind of hope that we would bring into the world and infect it with a kind of smile and a kind of approach of possibility, and to really draw the best out of one another. And I think that smile that so much was on his face now hopefully lives in our hearts and is something we can engage the world with as we move forward, both remembering him and then living out his legacy in the days ahead.
As we wrap up here, obviously he has left his mark on so many. He was a voice for the voiceless, yes, always fighting for the refugees, the migrants, even giving an olive branch to the gay community, the LGBTQ community. Really quickly here, Miles, how has he changed the image and the shape of the Catholic Church as we go into the next steps of choosing a new pope?
Well, I think he's changed the image of the Catholic Church in the sense that a lot more people are now willing to give it a hearing around the world than was the case 12 years ago when he became Pope, and it was mired in all kinds of scandals, particularly around sexual abuse. Well, through his example, he's rehabilitated it. But it isn't yet the case that he's actually changed many of its teachings, and that is going to be one of the big issues up for grabs in the conclave, whether the new Pope should try and move faster than Francis, who generally was a man who tried to move by consensus. An awful lot of the activity of his pontificate was trying to bring everyone to the table and get them to discuss and iron out their differences and see if, in fact, new positions emerged. There'll be a lot of cardinals who think that that is the way to go forward, yeah, and we'll see how that develops.
And Miles Pattenden, we thank you so much. Father Matthew Carnes and Gloria Dodd, for your insight, for your perspective on the life, the legacy of Pope Francis. The Take It 2 is back right after this. Welcome into this special edition of the Take It to Humabash here in for Marina. This is the show, of course, where we get your take, give our take on the top stories impacting the DMV. Sharon's here, Guy's here, up on the balcony in the hot seat. We've got Kevin McCarthy. We'll bring you down shortly, Kev. But, of course, this is the show where we want you to weigh in. Whatever you want to talk about, rant, rave about, call that Take It To hotline. Here's the number, 202-895-3200. We love hearing from you, and we love your fresh takes as well. Leave us a message. We'll talk about it. We're going to start things off today on this Monday with the big story impacting the DMV. A recent article in the Washingtonian is questioning whether the district's only elected representative still has what it takes to advocate for the people of D.C. Eleanor Holmes Norton is now 87 years old and was first elected back in 1991, serving her 18th term in Congress. The Washingtonian reporting that she spends far less time out and about, and when she does make appearances, they tend to be brief. Norton is often called the, quote, warrior on the Hill by local politicians. She is D.C.'s only elected representative and just the second person to serve in that position since it was reestablished in 1971. But with continued pushes against D.C. home rule, is it time to get a fresh face for the district on the Hill? We got one viewer's take on this. Take a listen.
Hi, I'm Cynthia, calling from Washington, D.C. I think first they need to get rid of some of those old congressmen and women before they talk about getting rid of Eleanor Holmes. She is dear to our heart, and she's very aware of everything, not like some others I might not mention. Thank you.
Cynthia said it is tit for tat if we're talking about Miss Holmes Norton. 87 years old, Guy, you are D.C. through and through. What's your take on this one?
I should know the Congresswoman. Put some respect on her name when we're talking about the Congresswoman. Not to you, but to all those that say it's time for her to go. I say that she actually stays. Look, to your point, she's been on that ballot. Count them. Not 1, not 2, not 10. 18 times D.C. residents voted to bring her back. And she continues to advocate on behalf of D.C. residents. Look, no, taxation without representation? How about we make D.C. a state first? Let's focus on that. And she's been able to get across a lot of things advocating for D.C. residents that others wouldn't be able to normally do.
A true warrior, decades and decades of experience. Yeah. There is something to be said about that.
I mean, listen, she's someone who I feel like her work is just not done yet, right? Like, she's a civil rights activist. She's helped with D.C.'s economy. She brought the Department of U.S. Homeland Security to D.C. She's been a champion for statehood for D.C. So I feel like, listen, her age, sure, it's getting up there. 18 terms, it's a lot. Should we bring in a new generation? Yes. But I have a feeling her work is not done, and she is still fighting.
Yeah. Kev, real quick, do we need new blood?
I couldn't agree more. I completely agree. You have experience. You have somebody who's been in the position for a long time and does a great job. So,
yeah. And of course, she's out and about less. She's 87 years old, and she's put in the work, and we've seen it for so long. All right, let's move on as we get closer to summer. You might be planning your next beach trip, but what if you didn't have to go all the way to the Delmarva coast? One person posting online over the weekend saying it's a little odd that D.C., with a long coastline from the Potomac and the Anacostia rivers and ample public land along said coast, doesn't have any beaches. Any beach in the city would be wildly popular for 3 seasons of the year. Now, about 100 years ago, the tidal basin, there it is, actually used to be a spot for swimmers in the DMV. You see a little beach there? According to Axios, lawmakers were against desegregating the tidal basin. They pushed for it to close. By 1925, the bathing beach was no more. Some people turned to swimming in the reflecting pool. I love that the Take It To gives us a little history lesson on D.C. every time we do this. Sharon, do you want to go frolic on the banks of the Anacostia River?
When I saw this story, today, I actually got excited. I think like my blood, levels rose because I'm from LA. One of the things I miss so much is having access to a beach and water that's not hours away. You got to make a whole weekend out of it. So yes, I got so excited reading about the history of this. We've done it before. Let's do it again. So yes, I'm down.
I know they've been working to clean up the Potomac, the Anacostia for years and years. Are you dipping a toe in?
I have 10 toes. I dip my toe in there. I'm going to have 12 when I bring it back out. I'm telling you, I don't want to go in that water, and I don't think anyone that grew up in this area does. It's going to take a long time to
fix it. They
got to fix it.
Yes.
They got to change the mindset.
Yes.
Even let's say a scientist comes back and says, you know what, it's A-OK. I'm still going to be somewhat hesitant to go in that water and actually take a dip in and, oh my gosh, fear that I'll come out with some type of disease.
And that's the problem, because if you're going to have a beach, you need to have water access, right? You can't just have a sand area and not expect people to want to dip in, cool off. The kids would be running in there. I mean, Kevin, what do you think?
I'm not a beach person at all. I'd rather be in a movie theater. That's just me.
Like more movie theaters.
And we have plenty of those, thankfully. Let's go to our Fox 5 Insta poll. Where would you want to see beaches in D.C.? Tidal Basin, Buzzard Point, Anacostia Park, Georgetown, Gravelly Point, even the Wharf. Buzzard Point leading by a lot right now, 84%. You can vote. We just put this up. We want to hear from you all show long. And you can head to our website, fox5dc.com.
Clean up the water
Listen,
first.
they're not LA beaches, Sharon. I hate to tell you.
You never know. If you start now, maybe in 5-10 years.
If you build it, they will
More like
come.
2030.
And if you call us, we'll talk about it. 202-895-3200. We love hearing from you. Would you go into the Anacostia? That's what I want to hear from you guys.
Not now. But
Give it some time.
Give it some time.
Still to come, are you always pushing for the latest tech, or are you fine sticking with your tried and true? We're going to break that down, talk about it right after the break. Welcome back. You know the old saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Well, it seems like Iowa Senator Chuck Grassley certainly subscribes to that. The 91-year-old lawmaker posting a picture of his vacuum over the weekend saying, faithful Beth has once again prepared Grassley farmhouse ready for the family clan to celebrate Easter. Palette clean. Grassley clearly not worried about having the latest cleaning tech. Sharon, I've gotten to an age now where I look forward to new appliances for birthdays, anniversaries.
For sure.
Are you upgrading, or are you just good with what you got?
It's so funny. When it comes to a vacuum, if it works, I'm good with it. Yeah. I'm not going to spend like another $200-300 on a new vacuum. If it's working and does a job, I'm good. But yes, like to your point, any other like thing in the kitchen that can be upgraded, a coffee machine, a this, a blender, like Absolutely. So I don't know, maybe he has a point here. When it comes to vacuums, sometimes like my mom's vacuum might still look like this,
yes.
you know?
But they, you know, he's got a Hoover, right? He's got like an old school Hoover. They don't make them like they used to because the way they're making the new machines, I swear you have to get a new one every couple of years.
Yeah, and then you just set it on the ground and it moves around for you. You don't actually have to push it. I think it's funny. He called it what? Good old Beth?
You don't have a name for your vacuum?
I call her Old Betsy. How about that? I actually like this. Come on, man. I mean, if you have something and it works and it's still doing its job, why not? Specifically for folks like right here in the D.C. area, if you happen to live inside the D.C. lines, if you will, because it's so small. And so, yeah, it's not like I'm doing a lot of vacuuming. I mean, you know, just got to do what you got to do.
Clearly, he's proud of it. So.
She's put in a lot of work. The carpet looks clean to me. Old Beth is doing her job. Kev, are you